Okay, welcome to another episode of Warriors Whiteboard Wednesday. Dashian Miller here from Warrior Concepts, but you already know that. Anyway, so hopefully the beginning of this didn't get clipped off. All right, so this is actually part two. I forgot to write that up here. Right? So part two of the resilience lesson that we started last episode, right? So if you missed that one, don't worry about it. We'll put a link if it's not already down. If you're on YouTube, it should already be in the description area for this training. So anyway, excuse me. So last week, that episode, besides a little, I don't know, glitch where somebody imperative absolutely would not stop pounding on the door, and I had to like take a little break, which as we move forward, we'll edit that piece out. But if you're watching the recording of the raw thing, then I had to step away for, I don't know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. Anyway, so, but last episode was also probably one of the longest ones I've done. We went about 90 minutes. So I don't normally go that long, but I realized at about that point that I had bitten off more than I could chew, but it tends to be how this A personality type works. So the plan for this this episode is to kind of complete that out, but last week I also promised a little extra value too. So again, we'll try to keep a better eye on time, because when I run over, then that starts to kind of get in the way with classes, because I had this neatly tucked between one thing that I do and the beginning of classes for the day. So anyway, we are taking a look at adaptive and tactical resilience, again, for greater self-defense mastery. I mean, if you're doing sport martial arts and all that, it's going to serve you as well. But what we're trying to do is stack the advantages, right, in our favor, right? So what we're really looking at, and that we're going to round out, hopefully, with time, an extra piece here are advanced strategies, okay, for not just your training, but improving your overall resilience. And if you missed last week with that definition, don't worry about it. I'll put it in again. Overall resilience and flexibility, right? Adaptability during an attack situation, okay? So the goal is to help to identify sticking points, right? Things that they're nuisances in the dojo and they cause frustration because like I couldn't get the technique right, or I couldn't end it the way I wanted to, or whatever. That's one thing, but when it happens out there, that's completely different, okay? So again, for those of you who missed the last time, don't worry about it. We have a link that you can go watch the whole thing, but I will do a recap here just to make sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music, so to speak. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Do this as a problem solution kind of thing, right? So when we look at what it means to be a ninja, right, shinobi, warrior, whatever, okay, it's very, very easy to stop at just learning that a ninja is someone who can endure, can persevere, can keep going no matter what, right? I think the title of last episode had to do with, I think we called it endurance tactics, right? And so, you know, we can look at words like this, right? We can look at endurance, we can look at resilience, confidence, all kinds of things, and accept them at face value. I mean, people do it all the time, right? We look at kids and go, dude, you need to be more confident, okay? Stand up for yourself, okay? You know, whatever, right? You need to be more calm. You need to... But in my world, those are really vague terms. What the hell does that mean, right? You can get the definition for resilience, but how do I work on that? How do I make that happen, okay? Short of throwing myself into experiences where I risk massive failure, if not being crippled or dying or being overwhelmed or having my spirit broken, you know, I just kind of curl up in a corner and wrap myself up in a fetal position and do some puppy whining or whatever. And it's possible, right? We see it. We see things that look like it, okay? Any of us that, if you're a vet like I am, you went through basic training or you went through advanced stuff. I remember when I was stationed in South Korea, uh, I was volunteered to be a part of the very first military police SWAT team. Now, we call it an SRT team. That's a common term these days. Swift response, SWAT, special weapons and tactics. And SRT, swift response, right? Get in there. And it's for very specialized kind of things, right? I was pulled in because of my my shooting abilities, right? My marksman abilities and whatnot. But either way, right? So the kind of training that we did, right? If we think about spec ops, we think about guys that are going through SEALs training and all that, what it can look like is that they just throw them into these drills or field exercises or whatever, and those who can hack it pass or make it, and those who can't get washed out, whatever. But it's not as simple as that, right? One, a lot of guys who went into it with character traits that should have gotten them washed out learn something and develop certain abilities going through those exercises that change everything, right? And then they develop them, and so they come out on the other end, right? Everything's good, right? And so it's easy to write that off as, well, you know, we just threw them in there and they had to develop it, and so, you know, they learned it on their own accord, kind of. Okay, not going to dismiss that part, because yes, they had to, right? But we also have to recognize, and I think I told a story about when I was on a C-130 military transport plane on the way to a tiny island nation called Grenada to rescue medical students. We did, however, and while I was staring at the far side of the plane, running training through my head and developing a plan that when that door opened and we left the plane, what I was going to do, A, B, C, that kind of thing. I heard crying and praying, and I don't mean like calm praying. I mean like crying, praying, right? I mean, I heard crying and I heard praying and I heard crying, praying, right? So I looked down the plane, right? And the same guys that looked like they had certain character or personality traits to be able to operate well under pressure, because, well, you know, that's what they did when we went out on field exercises, right? Well, on the plane, they were pissing themselves, because here they were having to write a check with their body that their mouth wrote a long time ago when they were playing soldier. Okay, so often those are the people that get washed out instead of the ones who went in looking like they probably should. Okay, but here's the thing: everybody thinks that it's this idea where we're just going to throw you into the deep end and you're going to go through this exercise or this certain type of training and you're going to figure it out. Okay? And again, I just said I don't discount that. However, I have a question. Who created those specific types of exercises in the first place? Okay? Why are the exercises designed the way they are? Because those exercises, those drills, create a scenario where the person has to exhibit, use, or very quickly develop certain traits to be able to survive, to be able to succeed. Okay? So yes, on one side, the individual has to do what they need to do. But see, there were some pretty smart people that put together exercises that were very specifically designed to cause problems and overwhelm where those qualities, endurance, resilience, those kind of things, were absolutely necessary. Okay? And so those who had it could use it in very specific context. Those who had the potential for it figured that out and realized, if I quit, it's the same as dying. Okay? And there were other ones that were faking it along the way that you don't belong, they don't belong on a team. right? Now, some of those actually figure it out and they get over themselves. Okay? I know somebody who first 4 weeks of their basic training cried their way through. And then one day it was just like, and not me, but they are related to me. They told me that one day they just realized that it was them that was getting in their own way. And if they just did X, Y, Z, this was a cakewalk. It was like, and they said it was like flipping a switch. And from the next day on, they were all in. They were a team player. They were learning, and they came out on the other end, still doing really, really well. Okay. So anyway, so we can when it comes to things like, again, endurance. I think I talked about confidence before. We're specifically talking about resilience. Okay. So we can make this assumption that you either have it or you don't. It's kind of like in the Bujinkan, people will often talk about the fifth dan test, the Godan test, the Saki test. You can either pass the test or you can't. You either have the ability or you don't, right? It's not something you can work on. See, I beg to differ. And so do some of the Japanese master teachers that that I trained under. And it's, again, it's like that field exercise thing with the SEALs or whoever, right? It is part and parcel with the person being able to use what they need and tap into certain things in the moment they need it. Because it doesn't matter if you can do something. If you can't do it when you need it, if you can't do it under pressure, then you don't have it. Okay? Well, I know it. Well, that doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter that you know it if you can't use it when you have to use it. Okay? You're just as crippled. Okay? So, but I was led through a series of exercises and techniques and mindsets and things like that that would allow those abilities to, one, get tapped into, three, to work as they should without other things getting in the way, and three, they were a way to test where I was in the process, so I knew which skill sets or other things that I needed to work on and where I needed to focus, so that when it came time to sit down for that test, right? But that was by no means a guesswork kind of thing. So anyway, but again, we can, going back to the endurance thing, right? We can learn what that means without ever learning what allows us, okay? What qualities or what skills or what other prerequisite kind of things, right? Skill subsets. Make that, build, or allow endurance, allow someone to keep going no matter what, okay? Because it's not always mind over matter, okay? Same thing with being resilient, right? So we can regurgitate the lesson without ever really knowing what that is, right? Okay. Again, a lot of people just think that it's something you can do or you can't do or whatever, right? And so what we're doing with these trainings is helping folks get past that meh kind of thing and answer the question, right? Is there more to it? Right? And yeah, kind of, more than kind of, right? So again, that's the point, right? So when it comes to resilience, that's what I've been covering last episode, this episode, and then we'll have something else next week. Okay. So anyway, before I jump on with this too much more, don't forget, like, share. I'd be remiss in reminding everybody, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you're over on YouTube, hit the notification bell, that kind of thing. Okay. So again, part 2 of 2. Last week it was what I call that, endurance tactics, right? So let me get rid of some of this because I'm going to need that space. Okay, so we are talking about resilience, but what the hell is resilience? All right. So before we jump into that, let me just kind of lay out what my goal and my kind of plan, my outline for this class is. Okay. So again, I've got like 9 pages of notes. So, but lots of space, so don't worry about it. Okay. So overall structure of what we're covering today. One, we're going to do a quick recap of some of the stuff that I covered in part 1. Again, there'll be a link. You can watch the full 90-minute training later on. So, but what I'm going to be recapping is one, what we could call the 3 powers. Right? 3 powers, right? The word for power or powers in Japanese, yoku. Okay, so we talked about 3 that are directly related to endurance and this idea of resilience. Okay. Number two, again, we ran out at the fourth one, right? I had a different layout, but we ran out at number 4. So I'm going to give you the final 2, right? And then I'll close out with a conclusion, again, regarding this soft skill. We'll kind of wrap it all up. If there is time, and I'm going to try to carve out time, there is a 7th one, right? This is a very, very advanced level kind of thing. And I'm going to go out on a limb because I don't like assuming, but I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that if you are watching this and you're still watching it and we're 20 minutes into this episode and you're still watching, or I don't know if you're a binge watcher or whatever, but you routinely keep up with these things, then I'm going to assume that you already have some of this piece here working, okay? But what I want to do is I want to go into it just a little bit more so that those who are really serious about doing this, okay, and want to remove absolutely every limitation that could get in the way, short of this person removing you from the world, okay, then we want to take this to its logical end, I guess. Okay. All right. So as I said in part 1, right, again, looking at resilience through this framework, right, of breaking it down into different types, right? I broke it down into 6 different types. Okay. Doing this allows you to get past this thing, right? Endurance, resilience, whatever, as a soft skill, right? As something that's very vague. It's very nebulous. I mean, we can define it in words, but like, how do you create it, right? So we want to get past that, right? We want to get past what most people think of as a character trait, or they think it just appears, right? You have it or you don't, right? And see each type of resilience, right, as a tactical skill, right? As a definite ability that you can recognize it, right? You can build it, you can strengthen what you already have, right? Through your own training, through tailoring your training, okay? So if you can do that, then right, you don't have to just kind of hope. It's not a hope and a prayer anymore, okay? So that's where we're going to go, okay? Again, just like I mentioned in the last episode, and I'm mentioning quite a lot of these, please remember that Warriors Whiteboard Wednesday, this is strategic and tactical training, okay? Very rarely, if at all, am I teaching about given techniques. There have been a couple here or there, but it was still about the strategies and tactics, or strategically or tactically controlling your training, right? And how you do things or how you see things, not about the techniques themselves, okay? This acts as a springboard to our Friday virtual training, right? There's a link right there, right? Where we actually do work on techniques or skills, or in this case, this Friday, we're going to be doing sparring, right? Randori training as a way to induce problems, right? To get certain things to surface so that students can recognize when they're using certain types of resilience and where they might have sticking points that they should focus, okay? It helps with improvement, okay? Last week, I covered that class and we focused on Tei and Tai Hodoki. So hand, arm, sleeve, those kind of grabs, body grabs, those kind of things. And even pulled in a couple of traditional restraining things where trapping people with poles and whatnot. Those we induced pain and those kind of things that caused the student to either have to dig down deep or recognize these things in real time, okay? This week, I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm going to be out of state, right? So my senior instructor here at the Academy, Shidoshi Whistler, he's a 6th degree black belt, been in Japan, trained with Hatsumi Sensei, trained with other master teachers. He's going to be covering that class. This week it's sparring, so I was going to be dealing with punches and kicks and things like that with certain things going on, right? So again, they're creative response or sparring drills, but there's a design to them that creates creates a certain environment, creates a certain problem under pressure that the student needs to work through, right? They either need to work through it, or they recognize, okay, I have that part, or they need to take notes like, this is a problem, right? If this happens in a real situation, I'm gonna fucking die, okay? And I don't want to hear anything from anybody, because when I hear it, what I hear is I'm gonna bet on luck, right? What I hear from people is, well, I made that mistake in the dojo, but like on the street, like I wouldn't do that. I would really bullshit. Under pressure, when left brain takes a vacation, whatever's in subconscious storehouse, that's what's coming out. What you do most often is what you will do under pressure, because you don't have time to think. You don't have time to run the scientific process. So it doesn't work that way. Well, it did once for me. Well, okay, but that's luck. Okay, congratulations, right? Don't confuse luck or the fact that it worked out with there was a plan, right? So anyway, again, this is not, we're not talking about any given technique. We're not talking about any given area of training. This has nothing to do with the kata. This has nothing to do with the technique, but it has everything to do with the way you will operate in a real situation with that technique or with that kata. Okay. All right. So moving on. Okay. So now we know what the problem is. Let's jump into this thing, right, called resilience, right? So what is resilience specifically from the Ninjutsu point of view? Okay. So resilience is, there's a bunch of different ways to look at this, but it's adaptability. I don't know if you can read this or not. Am I using a, uh-oh. Hope that's a dry erase. I don't think it's dry erase. How about if I switch here so I don't destroy my dry erase thing here? All right. Ta-da. All right. Whew. Almost used the wrong marker. All right. Adaptability, flexibility, right? Resiliency, it could be an object. It might not be a person, right? It has the quality of being able to be stretched, right? Stretched, not strengthed, stretched, and rebounds, right? Returns to its original state. I'm just going to put returns to O. Some of you sick puppies. Not that kind of O. All right, now I have a better one. Hopefully this will come out where it actually prints properly. Okay, so it gets stretched out and it returns very quickly, right? Think about it like a rubber band. Pull it, let go, boom, it returns to its original shape. There is a goal in Ninjutsu that through continuous exposure and being forced to adapt, yes, forced, not exactly soft training. Soft training has a certain purpose in a certain area of training or a certain phase of training. But if that's all we do, well, then you can only do it soft. By forcing or by continuous exposure to those things, not only can we return to that original state, but we can do it faster, and we're stronger or more able to do that thing more quickly, more effectively, more efficiently. That means with less effort, for those who English isn't your native tongue, the next time, right? It has the same quality of an addiction without destroying your brain. It doesn't go in the opposite direction, right? Every time you do something, the next time it becomes easier to do that thing, right? So that's what we're looking at, right? There's three ways to look at resilience, and this is what I like the first thing I covered last time, and I don't know the kanji down. You can refer back to the other thing here, but we call them powers, right? Yoku, right? I'm just going to kind of paraphrase them as we go. The first one, Hamptsuryoku, this is a rebounding, right? Rebounding and recovery. Okay, these are from different Japanese words. Okay, so rebounding recovery. This has to do with healing. Okay, so you get injured. Okay, this is more of a physical health, endurance kind of thing. So you get injured or you get hit, it hurts, and like the muscle goes weak or whatever in class. And if that doesn't happen in class, then okay. But how quickly can you recover, right? So it's the ability, if I get ill, how quickly can I get through that illness? If I get injured, how quickly does the body heal itself to get back in the game, okay? So again, it has this healing quality. This type is a rebound and recovery to the original state, okay? The next one is, how do I call this one? Like an adaptive recovery or an adaptive, yeah, like this is like an adaptive reset. Paraphrasing, adaptive reset. Okay. So with this one, yes, we're rebounding. Okay. But it's how quickly can we get back to zero? How quickly can we're in a situation. This one is like past tense or future tense. Okay. So I got injured. How much time? All these are time related, but how much time does the recovery take? Okay. Adaptive reset is not just physically recovering. This is present tense. You are in the thick of things. Something happens very suddenly and throws you off your game. It surprises you. It confuses you. Anything like that, right? Some part of you gets injured, right? How quickly can you adapt to that sudden change so that you can keep on going right then and there in the moment? Right then and there in the moment, okay? So this one is about what Hatsumi Sensei has called over the years, like keep going, okay? This is going to be like a heavy part of today's two, okay? And then this third one is, this is the, I guess for lack of a better term, it's the enduring, persevering, okay, power. This is there's a kanji artwork show that I found in Japan. I think I mentioned that the last time. It has two kanji to it. We could read it as nin. We can read it as nintai. Typically, the Japanese, when they're talking about endurance, right? This thing that we talk about with just nin, endurance, perseverance, that kind of thing, no matter what, okay? They don't understand this kanji in and of itself, right? They're going to wonder, okay, is that like the ninja thing? Is that stealth? Is that this stealthy entering kind of thing, right? They need another kanji, right? Typically, right? To point them in the direction that we're talking, right? And those two kanji together, right, is nintai. Okay, nintai, right? So we add ryoku to it, it's nintai ryoku. Right? This is considered to be a power. Okay? Not just something we talk about. Okay? Endurance is a power. Confidence is a power. Concentration, focus, discipline, creative adaptability, like MacGyver, James Bond, being able to take whatever you have and create a solution, right? That never giving up no matter what, okay, is a power, okay? It's not just a, oh, that'd be cool to have, Okay. Yeah, no, because this is all about survival. Okay. So again, I said something happened. How long is it going to take for me to get to my body, whatever, to repair itself? Okay. That recovery kind of thing. So this is more of a real time injury. Somebody said something and it triggered me, and how long is it going to take for me to get over it? I got up in the morning and how many cups of coffee am I going to need before I'm functional and stop complaining about the fact that I'm tired and I need coffee before you can even talk to me? That kind of bullshit. Okay. So how long? Okay. So this is future tense. Okay. How long is it going to take me to get my ass in gear? Okay. Or for my body to be able to do what I need to do. Okay. Adaptive reset. This one is like in the moment, right? If I glitch here, I'm going to be eaten alive. Okay? I'm going to lose, or I'm going to lose my money, or I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to lose my family, or I'm going to lose. Right? This is a look. If I roll over right here, I'm fucked. Okay? So this is real time. This one, we tend to use this term in Ninjutsu, especially in the Bujinkan, for all of these things. Right? We do that a lot with certain terms because Hasumi Sensei doesn't make people learn Japanese. But the more you can understand the nuances, the more you can understand that Nintai, as we approach it, there's different names for these different types of recovery. Okay, this kind of endurance and perseverance, right? What this is talking about is enduring and persevering over long periods of time. Okay, can you withstand long periods of shit, right? Can you survive through a rocky patch in your relationship, or you get some shitty leadership at work, but we understand that like these things, things will change, right? I don't know when, but they'll change, and at this point, I just kind of need to ride it out. Okay, we can see big picture and whatnot. So this is long term, right? That kanji set that I have, where the Japanese people would see nintai to just mean endurance, perseverance, or whatever. When we read those kanji, because they both mean to persevere or to endure, right? So what the hell is that? Enduring, endurance, enduring, persevere. Yeah, it's really freaking difficult to endure and persevere through really bad shit. Okay? Can you endure? Can you persevere through periods where that's all you have? Long periods. Okay? So this is time-based. This is time-based. They're all time-based, but this is how long does it take me to get back to healthy, right? Or focused or whatever. This is I'm broken. I'm thrown off. What can I do right now to at least hold my own till I can sort things out on this side, right? This arm gets broken or whatever, and how quickly can I shift and then how has my training allowed me to do any of these techniques with only one arm? Or how good am I at defending on only Hicho with one leg because this one just got injured, right? Because there is no tapping out. If you tap out, you might as well just take his gun or knife and do it yourself, okay? This is, right? Do you have the capability? And I don't mean like, let's not confuse the long-term living in a shitty circumstance, shitty job, shitty relationship, whatever, right? Bitching about it the whole time as enduring it, as persevering through it. Well, bitching about it is what I do to persevere. Yeah, I know, but you're convincing yourself and the universe and everybody else fucking listening that you're a victim. Okay? So are you making your situation better or worse? Okay? Not you. You guys are all enlightened, so it's not you. Okay? But you get the idea. Okay? So that was where we went with this, right? But they all have to do with a certain type of resilience, this rebounding. Okay? This will make you stronger and stronger over time, right? Especially in the experience that you're having. The more of these that you can go through, the more situations you could be resilient in. This one, directly related, This is about how fast you can adapt to that situation so you can keep going. You can't keep going the same way you were because one of your wings are broken, or you got surprised, or you realize that shit, it wasn't just one of them. He has two friends that just entered the fight, or this isn't a fist fight. He just drew a knife, right? Those kind of things. How do you keep going? And this one is, how fast can you get back to a normal life, just in the context of self-defense? If you've ever been in one, and I don't mean a fist fight where it's you and somebody else duking it out because you don't like each other, or you both want to be top dog or whatever. I'm not talking about that. Okay? I'm not saying that's not tough. Okay? But when you've been attacked, or your spouse decides they're done and serves you with papers and they're out the fucking door, and oh, by the way, all your shit's already been packed up and moved and your kids are gone and whatever. Okay? How quickly can you get back to getting on with things? Okay? How quickly can you reset? All of these can be in a self-defense situation. Okay? What if the fight lasts longer than I thought it was going to last, or than it should last? Okay? How quickly can I adapt? Right? And this one is, how quickly after that trauma is over can I get back on with life? Or that skirmish with him is over, and I'm backing off, and I'm going to try to get out of there, and next thing I know, I turn around and there's somebody else right in front of me, and I got to do it again. So if everything I use to defend, to pin this guy down, to ground and pound, drained my energy reserves, what's going to happen which is why we focus on energy conservation. Okay. All right. So again, quick definition of resilience. We already did that kind of stuff. First four, right? So let's go through. We'll just go through all six, and then we'll look at them from there. Okay. So I'll use different colors so it stands out. Let's use blue. Okay. So the six types of resilience, or the four types of resilience we talked about last class, right? Physical resilience. This is the only time I'm going to write resilience on here because it takes too much damn time. Okay, so physical resilience, right? We already talked about a bunch of this stuff over here in the context of healing, right? So, but in the context, again, we're talking about a self-defense or survival situation. In this context, how much abuse can my body take, and I can keep going? Okay, how much damage can I take? Can I get hit and ride it off and keep on going, or have I learned how to minimize that kind of damage, right? Whatever, okay? If it hasn't knocked me out or killed me, right? Is my body capable of going, okay? I think I covered this last week's Kuden podcast, or was it this week's? No, last week's, where we covered resilience, and we talked about the three aspects of a ninja. Three aspects of a ninja. Maybe it was last Whiteboard Wednesday. Either way, all these classes run together. So three aspects of a ninja: Mio Shinobu, right? The body capable of enduring; Kokoro Shinobu, the mind capable of enduring, right? Again, hardship, not right? And Shiko Shinobu, which is reconciling the internal world and the external world. You can call it spiritual resilience or whatever, but it's that back and forth struggle as we tame ego and drop bullshit beliefs and things like that one, don't serve us, two, karmically, cause and effect wise, they don't cause the kind of results that we're looking for, right? So, but we believe it to be true, so I don't really want to drop it because, right? Okay, it's because we want to bring our beliefs and views and ways of doing things into alignment with nature, with natural laws, with universal law, with the way things really are and the way things really work. Okay, the more we want to fight against the way, the ultimate universal truth, the more we want to fight against that. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with philosophy. It has nothing to do with a belief system. This has to do with knowing truth, right? So again, the teacher's job sometime is to, you think your style's working well, and they understand strategic and tactical control, and you get popped in the face, but you believe that technique was unbeatable. right? Wanting to give up the belief that any given technique is unbeatable, to accept the reality that no technique is unbeatable. That can be hard for some folks because ego wants to believe that if I learn this stuff, I will be indestructible. There is no fight I can't win. Bullshit, right? Human beings are easy to kill. Us too, right? The training doesn't make you impossible to kill, it makes you harder to kill. The goal isn't to be invincible. The goal is to be the hardest individual in any given room or environment to kill. Right? But if you take the first shot, well, no worries, right? So physical resilience is, can I get shot? Can I get stabbed? Can I whatever? And not in a life-sustaining thing that just automatically shuts me down, right? But can I keep going, right? Next one is mental confusion, right? Mental confusion. Again, if I gave last episode, I gave context and I gave some tactical like training ideas for getting better at these things. So you'll definitely want to go back and take a look at this. Okay. So mental resilience is the ability to recover and keep going when your like I just said, your knowledge or your belief system or whatever has been challenged, or you're confronted with information that negates what you already know, right? How quickly can you assimilate that new knowledge and make yourself stronger and keep on going? Or does it lock you up or cause you to just want to, but argue and doesn't make it not true, right? So mental resilience is the same thing, but how quickly mentally can we recover from, our belief system or whatever being wrong, okay? Next one was emotional resilience, okay? And this one is, okay, let's pick something really cool. Somebody that you really, 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 really love, right? Think about them right now, okay? That you would do anything for them. You would even die for them. Ready? Got it? Good. They just died, okay? Grief is normal. Grief is natural. It comes because of attachment, right? If you don't have that kind of thing, then you're probably a sociopath and you don't have connections to anybody outside of what you can get from them. Not you guys, you're enlightened. When I say you, I mean just generally speaking, okay? But the fact that we tie into somebody and we care that much for them, yeah, it's gonna be a problem, okay? But again, can I grieve? Can I do what needs to be done or whatever to get back to a sense of normalcy? Give you, for instance, okay? Had a loved one die, and like everybody just caved. Some of them, I don't have to think about this stuff. I don't, okay, I don't, la 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 la, right? Other ones, so emotionally distraught, they just locked themselves in a room or just, played the escape game or whatever. Either way, okay? Did I love them deeply? Was I going to miss? Absolutely, right? But you know what? Things had to get done, funeral arrangements and a whole bunch of other things that somebody had to do it. So this also includes the ability to put that on hold, to get certain things done, and then afterwards, so there's still people in my family that believe that I'm a cold asshole because they never saw me grieve at that person's death. Okay. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay. What went from thank you for handling this, I was in no condition, okay, went to, well, you obviously didn't care because like everybody else showed how much they cared. They melted down, right? And here was you, right, being this cold robot or something. And you didn't see me in my room away from everybody after all that was taken care of. And I allowed myself that moment. And occasionally, that tension still arises, but it's the ability to, can we control them? Or are we controlled by them? Do we control our mind? Or does our mind control us, right? Pain. Pain is neuroreceptors, nerves being damaged in a way that causes a certain feeling, okay? Everything's tied together, but bones break, whatever, right? Told a story last time. You'll have to go listen to episode 1 about old training came back at an inopportune time during the martial arts demonstration where I was demonstrating this stuff, and where I was supposed to shift clear and catch a kicking leg. As I was shifting, my arm shifted to a low block position, and I snapped that bone right there. Wow. That's what the ends looked like in the x-ray. Looked like somebody put a firecracker inside the bone and set it off. 20 minutes later, after I had wrapped up the demonstration, I went to the hospital and got my arm set. Okay? Because if I would have caved at that moment, training group would have looked bad, this martial art would have looked bad, Soke would have looked bad, regardless of whether I looked bad. Couldn't quit. So I didn't. Okay? So emotional, and then the last one that we did, I believe, was strategic. Right? Strategic. Is that right? Strategic? Is that what I did? Bum, 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 bum. I think so. Look at my previous notes. Sorry, are they even in here? Maybe they're not in this packet. I think it was strategic, right? So strategic is am I a one-hit wonder, or do I know different ways to handle the same kind of situations, right? A lot of people have gravitated to, or the original impetus for creating mixed martial arts was because there was a realization that no one school had the skills to cover everything, but they used to, right? Ninjutsu has it, Aikido-Jujutsu has it, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of arts, traditional Japanese arts, that still have it because they didn't go through the Meiji Restoration and split apart, where this is punching and kicking, this is throwing, this is, okay, didn't go through those kind of things. Anyway, so again, I'm gonna for sake of time jump ahead here. So these are the four. Go back to episode 1 and review those. Okay, so let's see. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the last two. Right. So the last two are adaptive resilience. Adaptive. Didn't want to give it away. Adaptive and what I have. I have adaptive and brains all running together here. Adaptive and tactical. That's it. Strategic, tactical. Tactical resilience. All right. So very, very quickly, what the hell are we talking about? All right. So where the hell's my stuff here? Adaptive, tactical. Okay, so adaptive resilience is we're going to define this as a broad sense, or a broad ability with flexibility and adjustment. Okay, so broad sense. Oh, was that? Sorry, wrong place. Wrong place. Broad sense or ability to adapt. Okay. So what we're looking at here is this overall ability to make adjustments, right, on the fly, okay, when things are going on. Okay. So what we're looking at here is in a situation, in a fight or an attack situation, or any kind of problem you have going on in your life, you're going along and all of a sudden, like, an extra piece has been thrown in. I talked about that before, where I think I'm dealing with one person and all of a sudden, like, 2 of his friends start moving in. Okay. How quickly can I adapt to that? Or am I going to try to fight one guy 3 times and do a divide and conquer kind of thing? Because that's why they're all moving in. Right? It's 3 against 1. It's a divide and conquer scenario. How do I do that? How do I flip that? Okay. Again, I'll jump into this more here in a minute, because these two can be confusing. They can seem like they're the same thing, and I really want to break these things down so that you get them. Okay. Tactical right? So this is broad. This is across an entire situation where the situation itself shifts. I mentioned that earlier with the death of a loved one, and what went from, like, they weren't singing my accolades, but oh, thank you very much for taking care of all this stuff that needed to get done because, right, to next thing I know, I'm being attacked um, for not showing emotion during that time period or talking about it afterwards. Okay? And there's a confusion that if I'm not melting and the tears aren't flowing, that I'm not grieving. Okay? So huge thing, right? But how do I? Okay. So tactical resilience, though, is the ability to quickly adapt and apply what you know, right? Learned skills, strategies, those kind of things in real time under not just varying conditions, but conditions that are actually variable by their very nature. Okay. So this is adapting over time. This is a broad sense. This is more general, right? And this one is adapting in real time. Okay. So again, we'll break these things down, okay? So tactical resilience, what we're looking at here, other words that we could use are things like resourcefulness, adaptability, quick thinking, quick decision-making, that kind of thing. Situational awareness are all, they're all characteristics of this type of resilience, okay? Up here, this adaptability is not just not fixating on there's only one way to do things, like whatever martial arts style I've chosen is the only way, or the way fights have always happened when I've gotten into them. That's the only way that fights actually happen, right? You can tell when people aren't this way, right? Just go down and read the comments under certain people's, not just mine, but certain people's self-defense or martial arts videos, right? All the people that are like, that never happened to fight. I talk about grab kind of things, and somebody will say, I can't remember a time that I ever grabbed somebody or they ever grabbed me. Oh, okay, so that never happens because of your limited experience in the world, right? They're not adaptive, right? Now, that is problematic enough where they don't realize that there's so many different ways that attacks occur, that so they don't have a broad enough vision to learn how to handle different, not just different attacks. Okay, he's kicking, he's punching, he's grabbing. It's a one-hand grab, it's a two-hand grab. No. I'm talking about different fighter types, right? What if it's a karate type person coming at you? What if it's a taekwondo person? What if it's a Muay Thai guy? What if it's a shoot fighter? What if it's in your, it's in your house, or it's in the place where you work, or it happens in a doorway, or those kind of things, right? Your emotional states, right? Based on the situation, okay? We often talk about a general concept of rape or rape defense, but what are we talking about? We're talking about are we talking about an opportunistic mugging where rape is the attack, right? Still mugging, right? Stranger on stranger, right? Is it date rape? Okay. Well, that becomes problematic because there's an emotional tie. May not be willing to fight back or hurt this person to the same degree because they're not a stranger. There isn't a depersonalization going on, or because, yes, they're hurting me, but I can't bring myself to hurt them. Okay. And I know we can say bullshit when we're not in the situation, but it's the same thing, right? Think about how long people endure shitty relationships or whatever where actual abuse is occurring, okay, hoping that things will get better, okay? But this is having the foresight. It begins with having the foresight to actually learn a broad base of skills so that I can be adaptive regardless of what kind of scenario pops up. That's adaptive. Tactical, let me tell you what it's not. I almost said the dick. The guy who says, I've never been grabbed or I've never grabbed, implying that that never happens, right? He gets into a thing and somebody grabs him, or it's a multiple attacker, or next thing you know, there's a knife in his face or whatever. He's not going to be very tactically adaptive. He's going to have to make up shit on the fly, and all that experience that he's had in his entire life being a one-hit wonder, it's going to go out the window, and he's going to have the same odds of surviving as somebody who's never trained at all, because he's not in his wheelhouse. He's over his head. Okay, so let's stay with tactical for the moment. I'll come back and bounce these two things back and forth. Okay, so within martial arts, right, tactical resilience means like being prepared for the unexpected in an encounter. Okay, there's a phrase that we use, and it actually comes from Mikyo, but there's a phrase that we have, Banpen Fukyo. Okay, Banpen Fukyo means no surprises. Okay, when I learned it, the implication was no surprises for a ninja. That doesn't mean you can't be surprised. That means we know that we can be surprised. So we train in a way that when we're surprised, we don't get stuck. Okay. So again, these two feed back and forth, just like a lot of these things feed back and forth. Okay. So this involves knowing how to vary your responses based on changes, right? Based on changes in your attacker's actions, changes in the environment, right? Even in your own physical state, okay? It's not just about having techniques, but knowing when, how, and where to apply them. Those folks who are going through the Warrior Concepts program, we've got these different modules, and each module focuses on a different emotional mode that you could find yourself in a situation, given the context of the situation, right? So we could be not emotionally bothered by it at all. We could be, oh shit, right? And we need time and space. We could be, oh no, and I need to shut this thing down very, very quickly. Or we could be, whoa, hey, I'm in trouble, okay? That kind of thing. Are there more? Yeah, of course, right? But that's one way, and it fits into this, knowing that we have all these states and conditions and things can change. But here is the ability to shift with that, right? If the environment changes, what the hell does that mean? Well, I'm moving across the grass to try to stay away from this person, and the side of my foot bumps into the curb. And so I'm able to step up on it and keep moving without like continuing to look or without stumbling, or I go to fall immediately right into a break fall, roll over, back up, ready to go, that kind of thing, okay? So again, those are a couple of real world examples, but you know, again, just moving across the grass. It could be, you know, you're moving and everything's level, and all of a sudden there's a little dip in the ground, or it becomes uneven, right? Or we bump up against steps, and I need to continue to back up, but can I do it up steps, or can I do it down steps? Okay, those kind of things, right? I know it's not written in the scrolls. Okay? Typically in ancient Japan, they didn't have steps, and all the ground was uneven. Anyway, right? So a lot of the stuff that people argue about, right? Well, that's not in the scrolls. Well, no shit. That was such an everyday thing, like breathing. They didn't think they had to write that down. Okay? The stuff they wrote down was shit that you need to be mindful of, because that'll get you killed. Right? So anyway, a couple of training suggestions. I think I called them tactical tips or ideas or whatever in last episode. So you could do dynamic drills, right? So you could you could set up drills where let's say the training partners, right? They change their approach suddenly. Okay, I'm hoping that Shoshi Whistler during the class on Friday does something like this, and I'm knowing him, he will, right? Where things will be going along, and then all of a sudden there'll be a quick change. I do this to test people that are on the list for testing for second degree black belt, global Bujinkan ranking 8th or 9th dan. But in our curriculum, it's for second dan, but they don't know they're being tested. So, you know, they're in class and there's another, let's say a senior or whatever. And so I'll go pull them aside, not the person that I'm going to be testing, this one. And I'll go, I'm looking at them, test coming up, and I'm looking at them for Nidan. Like every once in a while, right? Whatever the technique is that we're doing, if I'm doing a punch or something like that, okay, every once in a while, throw the wrong attack. Like throw the attack from the technique before, or throw something different, because I need to see if he's stuck in his head and he's only watching for the attack that's supposed to come because of the example, or he or she is open to whatever comes and they will adapt, even if that means in that moment they're going to make shit up, or not make shit up, but you know what I mean. They're going to handle that, evade, and then look at you and go, that's not what we're working on. And then you can blow that off, go back to what you were doing. But what I'll do is I'll have conspirators that I'll set the testing candidate up to make sure that they are already here in this mental state and they're adaptive, right? Because anybody can do something correctly on a test, but only because they crammed for the test, only because they wired it into techniques, right? So this is where the teacher gets to be a tricky ninja bastard and not liked very much, because, you know, you manipulate things, man. You set me up. That's why, like, I made a mistake. No, you didn't make a mistake because I set you up. You made a mistake because your mind is always doing one thing. You're not very adaptive, and I created a situation to show you that. So you can get pissed off at me all you want, but I didn't set you up. You set you up. I provided conditions so you can hopefully realize that you set yourself up. Maybe you'll see that after you get over yourself and you stop being pissed at me, okay? And realize that ego can't control everything. And since ego can't control everything, if you don't have these things, then you fucking die. Or you lose your family, or you lose your job, or you lose your sanity, or whatever, okay? Not you. You're all enlightened. Okay, so again, there's a bunch of other things, self-evaluation drills, decision-making under pressure, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so why did my wrong paper? Sorry, wrong page. Okay, so again, some might still not understand the difference between these two, right? Because often, again, to some, they sound like we're describing the same thing. So let me take a quick bouncing back and forth here between with the primary differences, right, between adaptive resilience and tactical resilience. Okay, the big difference is it lies in their focus, right, and application scope, right, what we're looking at, okay, within a challenging situation. Okay, so here's a quick breakdown, right? So adaptive resilience, okay, broad flexibility and adjustment, okay, the ability to have more options. I've told people over time, I would never say that Ninjutsu is better than any other martial art, right? Ever, right? And I know, see, if that might have caused a problem, right? If we were just basing things on number of techniques, things you do with your body to their body or whatever, right? Because all martial arts have historical validity, right? It's not the art. It's the people passing it on, or the people trying to apply it, or whatever. But I would never say that we're any better than anybody else. What I would say is that we give students more options. And that bears out because we don't have to run around and tack shit on like extra Lego pieces. Okay? We don't have to make a mixed martial art. Ninjutsu, by its very nature, is a mixed martial art. And anybody that thinks they had to have tagged other things on hasn't learned enough, or has a secret love affair with the other one, and they're not giving that up. And so they're going to bring that in and mesh it. And, well, depends on how they do it. They could either enhance things, or they could cripple one because they won't give up the other. Whatever, okay? So adaptive resilience within its scope, right? This is about overall ability to adjust, okay, to evolving circumstances, with a focus on long-term flexibility and endurance. Okay? Nintai. This resilience, this type of resilience, it emphasizes openness and flexibility, right? I'm not married to that technique. I'm not linked to that kind of belief or agenda, right? It's more about being context-based, okay? And it's just being open and flexible to change in general. Some people don't handle change very much at all, okay? So having adaptive flexibility helps practitioners to adjust to new environments, prolonged challenges and ongoing threats, right? And maintaining stability over, like I said, a longer period of time. Quick story, for instance, when I was a military policeman and I was stationed in what was then West Germany, there was a period of time at different pockets, because I was there for 3 years, where certain units would have to go for field training or whatever. They'd have to pretend that they were infantry, okay? And so they would go out and do that kind of thing. And certain groups, right, let's say one platoon from my unit would have to go to that distant city, to that post that never been there before, right? And from day one, have to just patrol, enforce laws, be dispatched to certain addresses or certain places and whatnot, like I had been there the whole time. Or anybody that, you've been on one installation for a year, year and a half, whatever, and you get orders and you're sent somewhere else, okay? So for a lot of folks, a lot of soldiers, a lot of military police, it took them a certain amount of time to adjust to the new surroundings, okay? And it had kind of a learning curve, and it's always going to have a learning curve. But my way of handling that, which came from Ninjutsu, was when I went out on patrol, I would purposely get myself lost. Now, first bit of time, it's not that difficult because I know how to get from main gate to the MP station, and from the MP station to the barracks to the main gate to whatever, right? But I'm talking about, like, in many instances, our patrol area was actually out in the city, outside the installation, right? Because soldiers were interacting with locals and I'm just going to call them locals, because people have a tendency to go to foreign countries and call those people foreigners. And it makes my brain lock up. But anyway, what I would do is I'd go out and get lost, right? Purposely, right? Until I wasn't lost anymore, because things just started to look familiar and connections were made. And what I found was that when I did that intentionally, right, I figured things out really, really fast, okay, by just putting myself into those strange situations. I've been down that road, turned down that road. I haven't moved in a long time, but I found that also worked when I moved to a new location. Instead of just having these regular things, right, to learn the area, I would just go out and drive, get lost. Okay, I remember one time I was I was called back to the station, and I answered the radio and I said, "Roger that. Be back there shortly." Right, a few mics, right, a few minutes, and I don't know, 10 minutes went by and they said, return to the station. I said, "Roger that." Okay, like 5 mics or something like that, 5 minutes, right? They call me back again and they go, "Are you lost?" And I said, "Negative. Military police never get lost. We can be temporarily disoriented, but I am en route to the station." And the last thing I heard before it cut off was them laughing. And when I walked in the door, they said, "Temporarily disoriented?" Like, the general's listening to this to the radio, right? So was I trying to figure out which turn I missed or what? Absolutely, right? But I'm always going to sound professional. I'm not going to sound lost, and I'm not going to sound frustrated, okay? Because that undermines authority. So, right, the ability to adjust, right? So again, in a martial arts context, as an example, we might set up situations where we're going to practice to remain calm. We're going to remain positive. We're going to remain composed, right? Through whatever, not just that training drill, not just that class, for months, right? Okay, for months, okay? A lot of students, when they go to Japan, they pick and choose which instructors they're going to go to, okay? And some, man, if they train 3 classes in the Ninjutsu Sensei dojo, I'm talking 90% or more students, then they were going to stick it out, okay? Because most would not come back after the pain that was endured during that first or second class, or hearing no. That's not right. I don't give a shit who you learned it from. That's wrong. Okay? It's just easier to go to somebody else who's going to tell them that they're right. Okay? Okay? So Um, this is also the ability to know when you might have to switch strategies in a fight because, or in an engagement. Whatever I'm doing isn't working, right? He's neutralizing and he's blocking things or whatever. So I need to change strategies or tactics or whatever. I might start off being very confident in my control of this, and all of a sudden he does something out of context, pulls a knife or whatever, and shit, I go defensive. Can I adapt to my own internal emotional shift? Okay, and keep on going. Okay, so that's another way of looking at it as well. Tactical resilience, right? This is quick decision making and resourcefulness under pressure in the moment. It's immediate and it's situational. Okay, so this focuses on real time problem solving, not let me take some time and I'll get back to you. Okay. Firefighters know what this is like. Cops know what this is like. Soldiers know what this is like. EMT, nurses, emergency room doctors, all they know what this is like. Okay. So this you call this thinking quickly on your feet or whatever. Okay. Tactical resilience is about using available resources, adjusting techniques, making split-second decisions, and responding effectively to immediate issues. Right? I can't come back and it's not like losing a sport match, talking smack and asking for a rematch. Because losing on the street, it's not the same. Okay, and anybody that thinks it is has probably never been attacked on the street. That's not to say they didn't get into a fist fight with somebody on the street or a grappling scuffle in somebody's yard. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some jackwagon that wants to end you emotionally, mentally, cripple you, maim you, or fucking kill you. That's not the same as somebody who just wants to beat your ass. I'm not saying you can't have any of those things happen by accident, but that person's not trying to kill you. They're trying to dominate you. Right? It's not the same. It's not the same. All right? So tactical resilience is an example, right? In a self-defense situation, this would be like to rapidly adjust your technique in response because he did something like unexpected, like out of the blue. Okay, he did an unexpected move, or you're moving along and all of a sudden you bump into something and you're staggering and you need to do something in that moment, right? It's using the specific tools and skills that you have at hand to gain an immediate advantage, right? To be able to take advantage of a bad situation, right? How do you flip that and use that? Okay. So anyway, so what we have, right? We have physical resilience, mental resilience, emotional, strategic, adaptive. Did I throw in? That shouldn't be adaptive. What the hell is that? Because I just put adaptive there twice. Oh yeah, adaptive, duh. Adaptive and tactical, okay? So quick minute, quick minute, right? I'm gonna throw another one on here for you, okay? Wrong color, let's use this one. Ego resilience, okay? If you stick through these things and you're following and you're not jumping off because like the trained monkey hasn't demonstrated something, or this is boring, or this is bullshit, this is that stupid ninja double talk, literally what people have said, okay? And you are here because, one, you want to double check what it is that you know or think you know. You're not just here to add new tricks, right? But you're open to more learning, that kind of stuff, right? Because there's a bunch of people that just think that they can learn this or anything with YouTube videos. And I don't mean that you can't solve a problem, but there's a huge difference between changing a light bulb on your 2022 Chevy sedan and, like, how do I deal with somebody who's 2.5 times bigger, stronger, and faster than me, and they got a weapon, and I'm trapped in a travel rest stop restroom, small space, and they're between me and the door, right? It's not the same, okay? So what ego resilience is the ability to not only open yourself up, to new learning and new stuff, but also criticism and critique, okay? Feedback, right? So this is like seeking outside assessment, okay? This is absolutely a form of resilience, okay? Specifically within the realm of mental and emotional resilience, because this is where people break, okay? This type of resilience, it shows a willingness to remain open to feedback, to adapt perspectives to new information, and to refine our approach based on objective input rather than just personal bias or ego's preferences, right? Like something's not right unless I already believe it's right, right? Otherwise it's wrong, okay? Well, that's bullshit, right? Because there's people all over the world raising their kids differently than I raised mine, and they still end up with really good kids. So, right? Okay. So this kind of resilience, though, and this is a very upper level kind of thing. This kind of resilience requires a humility and a type of strength that keeps you, me, right, on the path of genuine improvement. Not believing that just because I collected a bunch of techniques and skills and I can do them, that I'm at another level. Right? The stuff I learned down here, is it better as well? Or did I just collect more shit and now I can't remember those? Okay. It's not the same. Right? This is quality over quantity. Okay. By staying receptive, by staying open, by staying by keeping ourselves in a there's an old saying, I don't know if it's Chinese or whatever. The saying is, the more you know what you don't know. And holding on to that and knowing that you will die without learning it all. Okay. So, but by staying in this state, right, what ends up happening is we're continuously building a flexible mindset on the fly, right? We're just always practicing resilience. We're always practicing to be able to adjust and, right, and either rebound or that improvement will happen because we're being moved. People that don't like change, people that don't want to go and train a different way, or even look at anything else, right? They're not growing, they're amassing. It's like somebody who keeps buying a bigger house, but the kids keep getting old enough to move out. So I don't need a bigger house because I have a growing family. I have a bigger house because I have a growing bank account, but most of it's freaking useless. Other than, look at my house, okay? Look at my Ichimonji, right? So again, this when we deepen this stuff, right, it strengthens not only our ability to adapt, but it also deepens our overall sense of mastery, okay? So open ego resilience, that kind of thing, right? It's one more nuanced aspect of resilience. And this, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the most essential piece to getting not only this, but everything else, okay? So again, this, I mentioned the term earlier, outside assessment, okay? Because when we go to a teacher or go to somebody who knows more than we do or whatever, and we present ourselves, we showing what we're doing, either incidentally, they teach a technique or whatever, but we know they're looking, or we specifically say, hey, can you check this out? Am I doing this right? Okay. This is the where the metal meets the pavement, so to speak, right? Or the rubber meets the road. Okay. It's always good to make sure that ego isn't just determining right and wrong based on, again, personal preference, my belief system, whatever, right? Okay. So I thought this would have been, and for some of you, it's up to you as to whether this was valuable or not. But this is what I thought would have been, or to me, is something that it's kind of the added value kind of thing. Okay, so this I think is invaluable to add to your toolkit, because it's the resilience to accept critique, maintain humility, stay adaptable, that kind of thing, without letting go, without letting pride or personal biases hinder growth. Okay, really advanced form of resilience. Okay, but anyway, that's what I have for this time. Don't forget, right, if you want to do see some sparring drills, some creative response drills and things like that Shoshi Whistler has for everybody on Friday. Again, I'm out of town, so but you can always, the page is all set up. You can go, you can get yourself signed up for that class. It'd be great. And but if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, you can post them in the comments below, and I will do my best to get